Good morning, my lovelies. How are you today? So, as usual, I never know what who the reading's for, but it's a message for somebody who needs to hear it. If it resonates with you, it is for you. If it doesn't, then it's not. But there are other readings on my site, so maybe on my channel, so maybe something there is for you instead, if you've been drawn to me. So today I'm going to use the Law of Attraction cards, my Oracle cards, and we'll see what the message is. If you could like and subscribe, I would really appreciate that. It will help me to get the messages out to the people that need it the most. So let's have a look what the message is today for someone who is watching this. Okay. So someone is in a place where they need to really start reflecting on what they want, what they need, where they want to go, how they want to move forwards. And right now, whoever this message is for, you're in a real place of stuckness. You're just stuck. You're like, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to move forwards. I'm scared that I'm going to attract the same crap that I've been manifesting for the last God knows how long, unintentionally. So what you actually need to do is to really look at the patterns in your life. Really take a moment to see what choices you've been making, because we all are always making choices, okay? Even if we think, no, that person did that, or they did that, or that, nobody can make you feel or do or see anything that you don't want to. And that may trigger some people, but it's the truth. And the easiest thing for you to start doing on any healing journey, is to start taking responsibility for your choices. It's not about how other people treat you. It's not about what other people have done to you. It's about the choices that you've made, because the only person that you have power over is you. Okay? And it's not condoning other people's behavior, and it's not saying that they shouldn't be made. It's not for you to hold them accountable for their behavior. It's for them to hold themselves accountable. The only person that you can hold accountable for your behavior is for anyone's behavior is your own. It's like, and when you do that, you bring your power back to you. It's like, okay, I don't like the way that person behaved. Okay, then I don't need to be around that person. I can walk away from that person. I don't like the way that my workplace treats me. Okay, then I have a choice to go and get another job somewhere else. I don't like the way that my family disrespect me and da-da-da-da. Okay, I have a choice to walk away from that and say, no, thank you. I don't want to be around people that treat me that way. I don't want to be around people that hurt me or disrespect me or try and stop me from seeing the people that I want to hang out with, you know? And I'm also like, every choice that you make is your choice. And you have to, when you understand that you chose to be in those places, because you can say, well, you know, I had a trauma bond, I couldn't walk away. Yes, at one point you could. You chose to stay. You chose to put up with someone's disrespect. You chose to be hurt again and again and again. And we don't want to hear that. And that would trigger probably a lot of people maybe that are on this channel, because this is a healing channel. Most of my stuff is about healing. So it's like, but what you need to understand is that when you can take that responsibility of the choices you've made, you can then unchoose them, which means your power is back in your hands. It's not in someone else's. If you're saying that person did that person made me feel this way. No, you made you feel that way. And that's hard to hear, but it's the truth. And once you can see that, you can be empowered by it, because you can actually say, okay, I didn't like how I felt when I was with that person. So therefore, I don't want to be around that person. But when I was over there with that person, I felt really great around that person. Instead of saying that person made me feel that way and that person made me feel that way, it's not about the person. It's about the feeling from the behavior. It's like when I was around that behavior, I actually felt really calm and really good and really loved. But when I was around that behavior, I didn't feel calm. I felt hurt. I felt upset. And that way you can actually start to look at where you're at. You can start to say, okay, I understand now that when I'm around that person that I'm all over the place, that I'm up and I'm down and I'm all over, and that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. So you can then decide that I don't want to be around people that behave that way, because when I am around people that behave that way, I feel this way. Bring it back to yourself. I feel this. I felt hurt. I felt upset. I felt angry. I felt, instead of saying they made me feel this way, nobody can make you feel anything. Everybody is a blank slate. Everything is a blank slate. Words are a blank slate. Nothing has meaning unless you give it meaning, which is why you can get really upset by something and your friend will hear exactly the same thing and feel nothing, because it depends on what you have within you. So when you take that power back and give it back to yourself and say, I felt, when that person behaved that way, I felt this way. It's not that that person did that and they made you feel that way. That person did that and you felt that way because of that behavior. So the question is why? What is it about that behavior that made you feel that way? So you can then start to look at what that behavior represents. Okay, maybe you hate that behavior. Maybe that's how your dad treated you when you were a kid, or your mum treated you, or your teacher treated you, or the kids at school treated you, or whatever, and you hated it. Okay, well, in that case, you're not going to want to be around somebody who keeps playing out that behavior, are you? But we tend to not understand that we can walk away from it. We have a choice to walk away from that. We have a choice to heal that within us, and then we have a choice to look elsewhere. We have a choice to say, I don't want someone that behaves that way in my life, because when someone behaves that way, I don't like it. It actually hurts me. So you're taking the blame away from the person, but you're also giving yourself power, because people will behave how people behave. They're not going to change for you. And we don't want to hear that. We're like, no, but I can fix them. I can make them better. They've got so much potential. No. If you can see people exactly how they are now, that's how they are. And it's like the only person that can change them is them. You cannot. The only person that you have any control over is you. And when you start telling yourself that you are loved and that you're cared for and that you're taken care of, and you start to say, I don't want, because also when you're bringing things into your life that you don't want, you're actually pushing away the things that you do. So if you keep going back to someone that behaves a certain way and you keep causing yourself that pain over and over again, you need to ask yourself why. Why are you doing that to yourself? Because they're not doing it to you. They're just behaving the way that they behave. You're the one that gets hurt by it. So you're the person that needs to understand, why am I allowing myself to get hurt over and over again? And that's really hard for some people. And I get that. And that will trigger some people. And, you know, I never like to trigger people, but obviously people on this channel, when you're healing, that you're going to get triggered by things. And the best thing to do is to actually use it. You know, I had so many hundreds of triggers when I was on my healing journey. And I started to, in the beginning, I saw them as something terrible, and now I see them as a blessing. I see them as something beautiful, because it's showing me where I'm hurt inside, and I don't want to be hurt anymore. So for me, it's like, okay, I need to bring that to the surface and say, okay, why is that person's behavior affecting me? Where is that coming from within me? Because if you have a trigger towards someone's behavior, you are actually trapped by that behavior. And it's like, okay, if I release that, then I am not attracted to this behavior, and I can decide, actually, I don't want to be around you anymore. Thanks very much. But no. And also, you know, maybe someone, you know, you do like them, but you can keep them at arm's length. It's like, actually, when you behave like that, I don't like it. So you're just a douche, go away. You know, I'm not interested. Go do that with your friends, but don't do it with me. And you can make a decision whether you want that person in your life or not. Because when you start doing this, you're coming from a place of wholeness. You're coming from a place of, nothing hurts me, because I've dealt with all of that pain, and I've dealt with it. I've freed it, because those people's behavior have shown me where my pain is. So I can now heal it, see it or be aware of it, let it go. And I can actually then be like, okay, I'm not bothered by that behavior anymore. I know I don't want it in my life, but I'm not bothered by it anymore. And you can then make a decision whether you want somebody there or not, because you're not triggered anymore. So it's like, do I actually like this person? Do I want them in my life, even though they behave this way? You know, then the choice is yours. But while you're being triggered by that behavior, you can't make a conscious decision, because your subconscious is doing it for you. It's like, no, I hate these people, you know, but that's hurting you. So look for the pain, look for where it is, and set it free. Because the moment you're not in pain anymore and you're not being triggered anymore is the moment that you're truly free. You don't have to feel that way anymore. You can just let it go. It's like, actually, no, it's okay. I understand that people don't take responsibility for their behavior. I understand that now. And I understand that there's a lot of people out there like that. Do I want those people in my life? It depends. You know, do I want someone that does that as a boss? No, I do not, because I want them to be able to take responsibility for what they're doing within my work. You know, do I want them as a friend? Okay, yeah, maybe I can have them as a friend. I will never have them as a boss. God, I wouldn't. You know, you have some friends where you're like, oh God, yeah, they're my best friend, but God, I'd never work for them. They're a nightmare. Like, I know what she's like at work, or he's like, or they're like, you know, I would never do that. But you understand them and you accept them even though they have that thing. But when you're triggered, it's so painful. It's like you're encompassed by this pain within you. But then what we tend to do is blame the other person and be like, they made me feel that way. No, their behavior did. It's not that person themselves. It's the behavior of that person. And it is there to show you where you are in pain. So use it for your benefit. Empower yourself with it. Okay, I can heal by looking at this. I can bring that to the surface and let it go. And then I can decide, do I want this person in my life? Do I want them as a friend? Do I want them as a boss? Do I want them whatever way? But you have to release the trigger for that to be a conscious decision, and you have to change your mindset. It's like when you do that, your mindset does change, because it's like, well, can I let this person in my life knowing they're like that? Can I let them in knowing that they behave like that? Can I let them in knowing that they're acting like that? You know, and how do I let them in? How do I... Yeah, you see, there's so much here. You're clinging to the past so much. It's like it's still trapped in you. It's still there. And when you doubt anything, you're blocking your flow. So, and to live in your authenticity, you have to release all of that is in the way of it. Because it's like, you should be a blank canvas. You are supposed to be very calm, blank canvas. It's like, you know, I accept people for who they are, and I make a decision based off of whether I like them or not, because I'm not triggered anymore. Because when you're triggered, you can't, you just get out of my life. I don't want you there, because it hurts. But you're like, they hurt me. They didn't hurt you. It's their behavior that did. And that means that there is something within you back way when that is saying, that person did that to me, and I hate people that are like that because it hurts. So, but it's not the people that you hate, it's the behavior. So it's separating that as well. And being like, I don't like this behavior in someone. But once you've cleared all of that out, you can decide, do I want this person in my life, regardless of that behavior? And how do I want them in my life? You know, maybe this person maybe there's somebody that you met and their behavior was atrocious. And maybe you can let them back in as a friend, because you're like, as a friend, they're great. But in a relationship, they stink, they're awful. You would never be with them. And it's like, okay, maybe as a friend, I can let you in and we can be friends, but never again in a relationship. Or maybe we can be friends, but I will never work for you again, because I appreciate that you cannot do that thing and that you're never ever going to take responsibility for your behavior. And I don't want to work for someone like that, but it doesn't stop me being your friend, doesn't stop me caring about you. It doesn't stop me hanging out with you, going for coffee with you, because that's different, because your behavior is now not actually affecting me in any way, shape or form. It's like, I'm not triggered by that behavior, but I'm also not part of that behavior, because that's how you behave there. You don't behave like that with me in a friendship, but you behave like that at work. So it's really looking at the behavior and clearing the trigger for a start, and then accepting that a person's behavior is not who they are. It's who they are, But you don't have to have that behavior affect your life. And you can still let them in, but you decide how they come in. It's like, actually, if you come in this way, then okay, we can be friends. Or yes, if you're like this, then we can be in a relationship, but that stuff there doesn't work for me. It's like, no, thank you. You can do that with, if you want to do that with other people, that's great, but not with me, because I don't accept that behavior. I don't like that behavior. It doesn't work for me. But you're not, then there's no hate, you know, all that hate gets taken, because hate and anger and everything is created by fear. So it's like, once you can release all of that, you can actually live a peaceful life, and consistently peaceful, because you get to decide, do I want this person in my life, regardless of their behavior? Because all of a sudden their behavior is not bothering you anymore. You can be a jerk, just don't be it with me. You know, it's like, yeah, like I said, it's like your best friend. You know that you see all their issues, you see what's wrong with them, but you're still friends with them anyway. But you wouldn't work with them, and you certainly wouldn't like be in a relationship with them. You know what I mean? It's like, as friends, yeah, it's great, but anything else, no thank you. You kidding me, right? So that's it for today. Start to really, really work with yourself. Start to really look at what behaviors affect you and why, and really go deep within yourself and find out why they bother you. And once you've done that and you've released them and you've let that go and you've healed those things, you can then, once that's really shifted out, you can then start to make a conscious decision of who you want in your life and why, and how you want them in your life. Not just if you want them in your life, but how you will let them in. You know, maybe you don't want them in your friendship group, but you're happy to work with them. You know, that's another thing. Maybe you're like, there's no way me and you are ever going to be friends, but I will work for you because you're a good boss. Like, you're actually a great boss. So I will work for you, but that's where it ends. Like, you are not in my friendship group, and I will never class you as a friend because I don't like the way you behave in a friendship. You know, that's perfectly acceptable. I mean, there's loads of people that go to work and they're not friends with their boss. They're not on their, you know, Facebook group and, you know, whatever, and their Insta and whatever. They're not, because they're just a boss. And that's the thing. You can do that with everybody. You can decide what place people have in your life. That's your choice. And when you take the power back to you and say, okay, what will I accept in my life and how will I accept it? Like I said, if you're working for someone, you don't want someone who doesn't take responsibility for their behavior, especially when it messes you up and it hurts you. Okay, but as a, you know, or in a relationship even, I don't want someone who doesn't take responsibility for their behavior. But a friend, okay, if she's not taking responsibility for her behavior, whatever, right? Or they're not, you know, who cares? That's the way they are. You know, it doesn't affect you because they're just a friend. But it's very different if they're in a relationship with you or if they're working for you, you know, you're working for them. So you need to look at that. It's like, how are people in your life? But your first thing you need to do is look at the triggers and look what their behavior is showing you. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope whoever needed to see that saw it. You're worth it. You're beautiful. You're amazing. I love you. You deserve the best life. And when you start to do this, you're going to get it, because you're going to have this most peaceful, calm life with the best people in the best places in your life for you. And that's what you need. All right, my lovely. Take care of yourself. Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.